I've lost my mind doing this game, yeah. Like Vincent van Gogh. He dedicated his life to his art and lost his mind in the process. That's happened to me.
Like the Vikings of old, this man put his life on the line, risking everything for the ultimate goal. You may have your own opinions about Conor McGregor, but at the peak of his career, this guy was the very warrior who changed the balance of power.
When that gold belt was around my waist, when my mother has a big mansion, my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week, when my kids have everything they ever want, then it will pay. Then I'm happy I lost my mind. Yeah? I'll die a crazy old man.
You can feel however you want about the notorious Irishman, but you cannot deny his phenomenon. Today, Conor is not even a faint shadow of his former glory, but not long ago, he was the man after whom the game would never be the same.
Become the first two-division concurrent champion in the sport. I think he's a unique guy in a very it's almost like we don't have a word strong enough. Unique is not really a strong enough word.
It's time to rewind the clock and dive into that brutal, terrifying, yet magnificent reality ruled by the Irish King.
I'm on, and martial arts is my life. It just gives me dedication. It gives me a drive. Something that nothing else could do for me.
Conor's story definitely deserves a Hollywood movie. The future two-division UFC champion was once collecting unemployment benefits with no bright prospects ahead. The only thing he truly cared about was martial arts, and he was determined to reach the highest peaks in this sport.
Is that not unhealthy? I don't know. Do I look unhealthy? Take a look at this physique. I'm in phenomenal shape, in body and mind. To me, what's unhealthy is living an unhealthy life. To me, what's unhealthy is getting up and going through the same day, every day of your life, 9 to 5, in an office or in a... You know what I mean? That's unhealthy. That beats your mind. I don't work. I love what I do, and that's why I'm doing what I love.
Training and practice grew into a full-fledged lifestyle, and over 4 years competing in regional promotions, Conor managed to become a two-time champion. Before debuting in the world's strongest league, the Irishman had 12 wins and 2 losses. What's especially remarkable is that all of the Notorious fights ended early. The fame of this promising newcomer, alternating knockouts with submissions, quickly spread beyond Ireland. And soon Dana White himself visited McGregor. The result of this meeting was a signed contract with the UFC.
Win or lose, I'm going to be ready to go. No ego, you can't have an ego in this game. We've all won, we've all lost. It is what it is. Just keep going, keep doing your thing, keep working hard.
The Irishman's UFC debut was incredible. He finished his first fight in the strongest league within the first minute, brutally dispatching Marcus Brimage. Such a loud debut made people talk about McGregor, and given his charisma and charm, Conor had every chance to become a true superstar.
I would describe the UFC featherweight division as mine. It will be just me. UFC featherweight division, Conor McGregor.
From the very start of his UFC career, the Irishman attracted attention with loud words and his behavior. But even more importantly, he backed up his words with actions.
I really wanted to finish. I can't stress that enough. I'm here to put people away. Every single one of them is in danger with me all times of the fight, But
to tell you the honest truth, I don't think a guy from Ireland gets to this level and gets this much hype about him by accident. But now he's gotten himself into a serious situation, September 27th.
In 2014, Dustin Poirier was one of the most dangerous names in the division. The Diamond was ranked 5th, while McGregor was still a fresh face in the league. Poirier had already fought 10 times in the promotion, winning 8 of those bouts. Dustin was seen as the most dangerous and serious threat to the Irishman, the one capable of shutting down all the hype surrounding Conor's name.
This is just another fight, I don't believe all the stuff people are saying or all the stuff he's saying. None of that matters. This is going to be good for him. He needs an ass whipping like he's about to get. It's going to make him a better person in the long run. You're welcome, Conor. This will help you out. What matters is 15 minutes. Me and Conor.
People think that this is going to be my first true test, but when I make it look easy, they will have nothing to say.
He's not the guy he thinks he is. He's not the guy you think he is. And I'm going to show that.
This matchup against a ranked opponent really could have posed more problems for McGregor. But Conor acted like the fight was already his.
I don't give a
about rankings. As far as I'm concerned, I'm number one. And when Dustin's head clatters off that canvas, they'll realize pretty soon.
In his typical fashion, backing up his words with action, Conor went right at Poirier as soon as the cage door closed. McGregor immediately took control away from Poirier and began hunting for Dustin's head. Long before the fight even started, the Diamond had already lost in his own mind, and that meant he simply couldn't come out victorious. He was destined to be the Irishman's victim, and that's exactly what happened. Dustin was mercilessly knocked out and hit the canvas, unable to get up on his own.
Thing though, the first time I fought Conor, I felt like that. When the bell rang, I was like a deer in the headlights. It's happening. Here we go. All this, all that talk and everything over the months just sat in my head.
Yeah.
And I just read into it too much, thought too much.
Another prophecy from Mystic Mac came true. He knocked out a top-tier opponent and made him look like a complete amateur by comparison.
Also ich persönlich halte nichts von diesen Vorhersagen. Deswegen habe ich ja das auch gesagt. Er kann das machen, er macht das glaube ich mehr als um das Ganze halt hier zu pushen, um ihr Interesse zu wecken. Auf dem Niveau.
I see him trying to wrestle in fear, but it will be a rushed effort. It will be a panicked effort. So I plan on entering the contest using my movement to freeze Dennis like a deer in the headlights. They all want it until they get it.
The fight against Dennis Siver was incredibly important in the Irishman's career. It was his first main event, but beyond that, a victory over Dan made McGregor a legitimate title contender.
It's becoming a tradition now for myself and the family. Toast a nice whiskey after the contest. Place Dennis's head on the table. Another job well done.
McGregor carried an unbelievable aura. He had the ability to get inside his opponents' heads and make them fear him. At the peak of his powers, Conor was the fighter on the roster that everyone was afraid to face. And those brave enough to step into the cage with the Irishman all faced the same fate. The fight with Dennis is a perfect example. Siver was so terrified of getting knocked out that he barely attacked. That's what kept Dan standing through the first round, though his face told a different story. He looked beaten down. McGregor kept landing more and more shots, breaking his opponent's mindset. Dennis finally cracked, collapsing to the canvas from what looked like a weak body shot. Conor instantly jumped to the ground and started pounding his head into the mat. Once again, Conor secured the win by knockout.
I posed different movements and different reactions than anybody on the roster, not just the division. So I am highly confident I will shut Jose Aldo down in spectacular fashion and take over the game. I say it how I want to say it, yeah? The king speaks however he wants.
The next challenge for McGregor was supposed to be a championship fight against the legendary Jose Aldo. At UFC 189, Conor was set to face Aldo, but the Brazilian champion broke a rib during training, and just 3 weeks before the main event, Chad Mendes stepped in as a replacement. The American was ranked number 1 and had already failed to beat Aldo. Mendes lost decisively by judges' decision, but then knocked out Ricardo Lamas, earning his way back into the title race.
I mean, in my opinion, Conor is a very one-dimensional fighter. He's a long southpaw stand-up fighter. He doesn't have wrestling, he doesn't have jiu-jitsu. You wipe all that hype out of here, I'm gonna get in there and destroy this dude.
Even though his opponent was the top-ranked contender, Conor had no intention of breaking his own traditions. He was more confident than ever, and despite the sudden change in opponent, he wasn't about to back down from a fight. This fight became an open showcase of the true warrior spirit. McGregor had huge gaps in his wrestling game, and a high-level fighter like Mendes simply couldn't let that slide. In the first 2 rounds, Mendes dominated the Notorious on the ground. At the end of the first 5 minutes, Conor suffered a cut, and in the second round, the American only made things worse for the Irishman. McGregor was clearly losing both rounds, but with 35 seconds left on the clock, he got up off the mat, denied another takedown, and started trading punches with Mendes. Just a couple of seconds standing and one perfectly timed strike was all it took to end the fight.
10 seconds! Oh, he's hurt! Could he finish him here? Conor McGregor is a UFC interim featherweight champion!
I own this town.
I own Rio de Janeiro. So for him to say he is the king and I am the joker, if this was a different time, I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to whoop. But we are in a new time, so I'll whoop his ass in July.
The fight with Aldo wasn't just a title bout. It was an all-out war that Conor ignited immediately after his victory over Mendes.
When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Conor snatched the championship belt from Aldo right at the press conference. Threw darts, tore up photos of him, claimed he owned Rio de Janeiro, and threatened to tear it apart.
Who's this guy you're fighting?
This guy is a dead man walking. That's who this guy is.
What are you going to do to this guy in the ring, physically?
I am going to maul him. I am going to rip him limb from limb.
Before the fight, McGregor repeatedly said one round would be enough to secure the win, and his coach confidently claimed 60 seconds would do. Aldo was visibly nervous at the press events. No one had ever put that kind of pressure on him before a fight. Before McGregor, Jose Aldo, considered the greatest fighter in the division's history, hadn't lost in 10 years. But Aldo lost the war long before it even began, because he was openly afraid of his opponent. Nothing, neither his streak of 18 consecutive wins nor his dominant performances, nor even his title as the pound-for-pound best fighter could help him take the victory. A knockout in 13 seconds. The fight with McGregor shattered everything. Aldo lost for the first time in 10 years, lost in the UFC for the first time, and lost by knockout for the very first time. A truly historic moment. Conor McGregor became the living embodiment of the worst nightmare for the former champion.
I tell you one thing that won't be happening. If I go up to that lightweight division, there's no way in hell that I'm vacating my belt. That's not happening. There'll be a belt on one shoulder and a belt on the other shoulder. I understand why previously they would have fighters do that, because many fighters don't fight as frequently as I do. Tell me how many fights I've had in the past year. You know what I mean? I'm busy. I stay active. I'm fresh. So when I go up to the lightweight, for that lightweight belt, and take that lightweight belt, I will still be the featherweight champion also.
Money, fame, and glory went straight to Conor's head. He planned to become the first ever UFC double champion. But his ambitions collided hard with the tough gangster from Stockton.
I wanted to ask you how you guys can make the UFC as big as the NBA or the NFL. How is that possible? Can it be?
Just let me loose. Let me loose on one of them. This to me is not a sport. This is a business, and it's the business of warfare.
6 months later, the Notorious staged an epic rematch. Nate Diaz openly took 2 rounds. Such was the dominance of Conor. It was a brutal, bloody war, ending in a majority decision victory for McGregor. After beating Diaz, Conor was ready to make history.
Clearly, you've only been to the 5th round twice in your professional career and lost one of them. You're complaining that he has no gas.
His question is, why are you talking? That's his question. Why the f*** they're talking? Say it like it is, you're blessed. You're blessed that I chose you. You're blessed that I chose to whoop your ass next.
This fight was the last time we saw the peak Conor McGregor. The Notorious delivered every promise he'd made leading up to the bout. A flashy knockout and 2 belts around his waist. Moments that the history of MMA will never forget.
Eddie Alvarez. Conor McGregor. Champion against champion. McGregor looking to make history. Here we go. 5 since 2012. He's home. Can he finish it right here, right now? Alvarez pop back up. Big shot.
Well, he hurt him bad, Mike. The distance that Conor's able to maintain, very, very difficult to handle.
McGregor well in control. Alvarez getting loose, getting better here in this round, though.
Oh, man.
Until that.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
It is all over. History has been made. Conor McGregor is the UFC lightweight champion.
What a performance. Didn't just do it. Did it flawless.
I've spent a lot of time, Joe, slating everybody in the company. Backstage, I'm starting fights off everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Such was the blazing star of Conor McGregor. His career shone like a brilliant flash lighting up the world. Later, he traded career for cash and fame, and a collapse lay ahead. We don't know if Conor will ever return, but one thing's almost certain. We'll never see that mystical monster again who dismantled every opponent in his path. The Irishman who stood by every word and struck fear into the hearts of his rivals. The one and only prime Conor McGregor.